There are moments when life feels heavy and our mind grows quiet in painful ways. During these moments, gentle teachings from ancient wisdom remind us that even the darkest feelings can lead to growth if we learn to see them with clarity and kindness. These teachings speak softly about the human heart, how it bends and breaks, yet still learns to stand. They encourage us to be patient with ourselves, especially when pain clouds our path. What follows is a simple guide to help you rise again, step by step, with compassion for your own journey. When sadness settles deeply within us, many people instinctively pull away from the world. We choose silence because we believe no one will understand, or we fear being a burden, or we feel too exhausted to form the words that describe our inner storm. This quiet withdrawal may feel comforting at first because isolation can seem like a safe shelter where nothing else can hurt us. But the teachings remind us that the mind grows heavier when it carries its pain alone. The heart needs connection, even if only in small and simple ways. When we shut the door to others, we also shut the door to the support that could help us breathe again. This is not a call to force yourself into crowds or pretend to be cheerful. It is a gentle reminder that even a single conversation can soften the weight inside your chest. A short message, a simple call, or a moment shared with someone who cares can be enough to bring a little light back. We often underestimate how healing it can be to let someone sit with us, not to fix our problems, but simply to be present. Ancient wisdom teaches that nothing grows in complete darkness. The same applies to our inner world. Without connection, our thoughts grow harsh, and our emotions grow louder. But with even a small amount of warmth from another human being, the heaviness begins to loosen. Each act of reaching out is a step towards opening the heart again. It shows us that we are not meant to face every storm alone. Even when the mind whispers that no one would care or no one would listen, that whisper is only a reflection of the pain, not the truth. The truth is that connection is part of our nature. We are shaped by shared laughter, shared worry, shared tears, and shared silence. Allowing someone into your inner space can remind you that you still belong in the world, even when you feel lost. When you speak your truth, no matter how uncertain or fragile, you create room for healing. And when you let someone walk beside you, even for a moment, your path becomes less frightening. The practice is simple. Take one small step toward another person. Allow yourself to be seen in your humanness. Open your heart just enough to let in a breath of compassion. By doing so, you slowly guide yourself back into the rhythm of life, where connection becomes a gentle medicine that helps you rise again. In difficult times, the mind becomes a restless storyteller. It creates scenes filled with fear, doubt, and hopelessness. And because these thoughts appear inside our own head, we mistake them for truth. But ancient teachings show that not every thought deserves our trust. The mind can be like a cloudy sky, filled with passing shapes that shift and disappear if we look closely. Yet when we feel low, we cling to these shadows as if they define our entire life. We say to ourselves that we are not enough, that everything will go wrong, or that we will never feel peace again. These thoughts arise from pain, not wisdom. They speak loudly, but they are not reliable guides. One of the most gentle teachings is that the mind should be observed, not obeyed. When a negative thought appears, we can pause instead of reacting. We can look at it the way we look at a leaf floating down a river. It is there, but it is not us. It does not have to shape our actions or our identity. This simple awareness loosens the grip of negativity. When sadness is strong, thoughts often exaggerate the worst possibilities. They form dark stories because the heart is already hurting. If we accept these stories without questioning them, we fall deeper into suffering. But when we take a step back, even slightly, we begin to see that our thoughts are temporary guests. They come and go, they rise and fade, and we have the ability to choose which thoughts we feed with our attention. Instead of believing every harsh idea that appears, we can offer ourselves understanding. We can remind ourselves that the mind is sensitive during emotional storms. We can replace one painful thought with one gentle truth. We can tell ourselves that feelings change, that brighter days come, and that we are stronger than we think. When we view our thoughts with compassion rather than fear, we create space for clarity. This clarity helps us see possibilities instead of limitations. It helps us breathe during moments of distress and trust that we are more than the negative stories that arise during hard times. Little by little, this shift becomes a source of strength. It teaches us that the mind may speak, but we are not its prisoner. We can choose patience, we can choose kindness, we can choose a softer inner voice. And through these choices, we build a place within where peace can grow again, even when the world feels overwhelming. When emotional pain becomes overwhelming, even simple tasks feel heavy. We start skipping the routines that once grounded us. We avoid small responsibilities because every movement seems like a struggle. We push aside healthy habits, telling ourselves we will return to them when we feel better. But the wisdom passed down for centuries teaches that caring for the body and mind, even in the smallest ways, is a powerful way to awaken inner strength. When we abandon our daily structure, our days lose their rhythm, and our thoughts become scattered. The absence of routine makes the mind drift into confusion, and sadness grows stronger in that empty space. But when we maintain even a small part of our daily rituals, we create a sense of stability. These habits become anchors when everything else feels uncertain. Taking a brief walk, eating nourishing food, sitting in silence for a moment, cleaning a small corner of the room, or simply opening a window to feel the morning air can bring us back into balance. These actions may feel too small to matter, but they hold deep meaning. They remind us that we are still here, still capable of nurturing ourselves, even when life feels heavy. The teachings emphasize that healing is not always dramatic. It often grows through gentle repetition. Each act of caring for your body becomes an act of caring for your spirit. Each small routine becomes a message to your heart that you are worthy of attention. Even on the hardest days, doing one simple thing can shift your energy. You may not feel instantly better, but you create a quiet sense of control. This sense of control helps your mind settle. It reduces the chaos inside. It gives you a moment to breathe, and eventually, these moments add up. They become stepping stones that guide you out of darkness. When you return to your daily habits, you are not just following a schedule. You are rebuilding trust with yourself. You are reminding yourself that you can take one step and then another. You are proving that healing often begins with small but meaningful acts. So try to choose one gentle habit each day. Let it be simple enough that you can manage even when your energy is low. With time, this small act will strengthen you. It will rebuild your inner foundation and remind you that even the smallest routines can keep the light within you alive. In moments of sadness, it becomes easy to look at the lives of others and feel as if we are falling behind. We compare our path to someone else's success, joy, or progress, and the comparison deepens our pain. But wise teachings remind us that every person walks a unique journey shaped by their own joys, struggles, and lessons. Just as no two trees grow in exactly the same way, no two lives unfold in identical patterns. When we compare ourselves to others, we forget this truth. We judge ourselves based on moments we see from the outside, never knowing the hidden battles others are fighting. Comparison blinds us to our own strengths and gifts. It traps us in a cycle of doubt, making us believe that our value depends on measuring up to someone else's timeline. Yet growth does not happen through comparison. It happens through acceptance of our own pace. When we focus too much on others, we lose connection with our own heart. We forget the progress we have made, the challenges we have already overcome, and the lessons we have learned along the way. The teachings encourage us to look inward instead of outward, to honor our unique journey and trust that every step we take matters. Life is not a race. It is a personal path filled with moments meant only for us. When we appreciate our own life, we create space for gratitude. Gratitude softens our pain. It helps us see that our experiences, no matter how difficult, shape our inner strength. Instead of comparing our struggles to someone else's triumphs, we can focus on the growth happening within us. We can remind ourselves that everyone rises and falls in their own rhythm. Some people experience joy earlier. Some find their path later. Some take detours that lead to unexpected lessons. and all of it is part of the journey. When we stop comparing, we feel lighter. Our heart opens. We start to see beauty in our progress. We begin to celebrate our small victories, and we learn to trust that our life will bloom in its own time. The path becomes more peaceful when we walk it with patience for ourselves. We learn to embrace our journey without needing it to look like anyone else's. And in this acceptance, we discover a quiet sense of freedom that allows us to heal from within. When our heart feels heavy, we often hide our emotions because we fear being misunderstood or judged. We tell ourselves that staying silent will protect us. We try to appear strong even when we feel fragile inside. But ancient guidance reminds us that unspoken emotions do not disappear. They settle in the body and mind, growing heavier with time. When we suppress our feelings, we close the door to healing. Expressing emotions is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of courage. It is a way of releasing what weighs us down. When we speak honestly, even softly, the burden inside becomes lighter. Sharing our truth allows us to reconnect with others and with ourselves. It reminds us that our emotions are part of being human. They deserve to be felt, understood, and released. Many people fear that expressing pain will make it stronger, but often the opposite happens. When we give our emotions space to breathe, they loosen their grip. They flow through us instead of getting stuck. Talking to a trusted person, writing in a personal journal, or sitting alone and naming what we feel can create immense relief. These simple acts open the heart and make room for clarity. The teachings encourage us to be gentle with ourselves as we express our truth. We do not need to explain everything perfectly. We do not need to justify our emotions. We only need to acknowledge them honestly. When we allow ourselves to feel without shame, we create inner freedom. This freedom helps us understand our needs, set healthier boundaries, and move forward with more confidence. It also strengthens our relationships. When we share our feelings, we give others the chance to support us. We allow deeper connections to form. We learn that vulnerability can bring closeness instead of fear. And we see that others, too, carry their own emotions and struggles. This shared understanding reminds us that we are not alone. Emotional expression becomes a bridge that leads us back to ourselves. It helps us heal wounds that silence cannot reach. It teaches us that honesty, even when painful, is a powerful medicine. So allow your feelings to be seen. Speak them softly. Write them freely. Let them move without holding them back. In this simple act, you invite healing into your life. You show yourself compassion. And compassion is the strongest foundation for inner peace. When emotional pain becomes too intense, many people turn to unhealthy habits for comfort. These habits may provide temporary relief, making us forget our sadness for a moment. But once the moment fades, the pain returns stronger. The teachings gently remind us that running from our pain does not free us from it. Avoiding our hurt only deepens the wound. True healing begins when we face our emotions with honesty and courage. Bad habits promise quick escape, but they pull us further from peace. They create cycles that drain our strength and cloud our clarity. The more we rely on them, the more disconnected we feel from ourselves. But when we choose healing instead of escape, we slowly rebuild our inner stability. This healing does not require grand actions. It begins with small choices. It may be choosing to breathe deeply when fear rises instead of reaching for something harmful. It may be choosing to rest rather than numb yourself. It may be choosing to talk to someone instead of holding everything inside. Each small choice becomes a step toward a healthier path. Ancient teachings say that pain is not an enemy to be pushed away. Pain is a signal, a message from deep within calling for attention and compassion. When we listen to it instead of avoiding it, we begin to understand what our heart needs. Maybe it needs rest. Maybe it needs forgiveness. Maybe it needs comfort. Maybe it needs change. Whatever it is, facing the pain gently allows us to grow. As we learn healthier ways to cope, we strengthen our inner resilience. We create habits that guide us toward calmness instead of confusion. We learn to sit with discomfort, knowing it will pass. We learn to trust that we can endure difficult emotions without collapsing. And through this trust, we gain confidence. Choosing healing means choosing yourself. It means valuing your future more than temporary distractions. It means believing that you deserve peace. Healing may feel slow. Some days may be harder than others, but every moment of awareness is progress. Every healthy choice is a victory, and every act of compassion toward yourself brings you closer to a life shaped by clarity rather than fear. The heart becomes stronger when we stop running from our pain. It becomes wiser. It becomes calmer. And in time, it leads us toward a gentle strength that allows us to rise above challenges with grace. This strength becomes the foundation for lasting peace, guiding you back to yourself and helping you move toward a life filled with light and purpose.